would it make sense? Does it make sense to you guys of the idea of Darius Garland and Evan Mobley as they come back to come off the bench, not as bench players, but to basically mimic what is happening right now, symmetry of Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen, what they're doing on the floor as the guard and big man plus the pieces around them, to then have Darius Garland. Now, he's not going to generate as many points as Donovan Mitchell, but to have him and Mobley then working together, a guard and a big man working together with complementary pieces around them, and you have Karis LeVert that is that ultimate Swiss Army knife where you can use him in many different situations, even in both rotations. I mean, like, think of that. Like, if you could have two separate, like, starting units, and that was your two units out on the floor and how deep you could be. Again, I'm thinking hypothetically.
Here's where I like this idea a lot, and I'm just thinking about it right now. I think it would help develop Evan Mobley. Because you're not going through four options of, whatever Allen's cleaning up. He's not really an option, but he's your cleanup crew. So it takes away from what Mobley could do. But your options are Garland and Mitchell first, and then Evan Mobley. Where if Evan Mobley, maybe he's the second option on a lineup, it'll help him develop his offensive game. My question is, what are you doing in the fourth quarter when the game's on the line?
Right. And here's where and Donovan, keep going with this clip because I want people to make sure that they understand I'm just throwing like a hypothetical idea, like in a perfect world, if there was no egos and no issues with anything, I'm going to refute my own hot take right now. Like, I'm going to almost argue myself. Darius Garland is a starting point guard in this NBA. Evan Mobley is a should be stud because he is a great defensive player, if not one of the best defensive players in all the league. Just needs to develop offensively further away from the basket. Those guys are starters in this league and starters on this team. And in the fourth quarter, you're going to need your main guys to be out there. It also means, if I give that idea, that also implicates that I think that Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell can't play together. I am not saying that at all because I have seen it work. I know that it doesn't look great. Both of them are injury prone, and when injuries start, they don't stop, unfortunately. That has really, I think the injuries is part of what has derailed them building the chemistry on the floor. And when Darius comes back, you want to see that build. So in the fourth quarter, they know exactly where each one is going to be in the crucial moment for one of them to take the shot or set up someone, set up the other, set up a teammate for that crucial basket to finish off the game. Look, I just went through a controversial hot take and refuted the whole thing.
I mean, you could start with the starters as the starters. Second quarter, that's the Donovan Mitchell squad team. Third quarter, it's the Garland squad team. At fourth quarter, when halfway through, however they're doing it, it's the main squad team.
I kind of like that. Like, I know the Lakers aren't doing very well, and they're one game below, but LeBron is defying all things that matter with Father Time. LeBron always sits at the end of the first quarter with like 3 or 4 minutes and then comes out to start the second quarter with the second unit to lead that second unit. If you start with your typical starters and then either Donovan or Darius stays in through that quarter, the other one sits and then comes back in to lead that bench unit, and then you start, like, in the middle of the game, you're interchanging Mobley and Allen for both of them to impact by themselves as a big man. I don't know. Like, I'm, like, talking myself into and out of this idea. I kind of like that. Like, if you could have two units that were exactly the same. But
it's like you're not skipping a beat, basically, when the second squad's in.
That would mean that, Garland's going to have to be hitting his shots at the same time.
You'd have to be putting team over self for sure.
Yes, you would have to be putting team over self. And again, that's not going to happen. This is a hypothetical thing. But this is what JB is going to have to answer when Garland and Mobley come back. Those rotations in the middle portion of the game. They got out to a hot start. They're up 25 at half, so they've maintained that aggressive start. The Bucks were coming back on them. They've maintained. The middle part of the game is you come out with that aggression like the Knicks did in every single game of the series outside of one game last year in the playoffs. You come out as the more aggressive team. You get off to a hot start. Maintain in the middle. Then you have to have the top guys to finish strong. The only way that's going to happen is if Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen, and whoever that person is, either Max Strus or whoever out there as the starters, like that's going to be the unit. It's the rotations in the middle when you're trying to maintain and even bring more energy off the bench with guys that have gotten rest. What do those rotations look like as we come down the stretch? Because they're stacking wins like they need to. They're building their way into the Eastern Conference in order to be considered a legitimate team and contender. When these guys come back, they need to add to what the guys have done to pick them up while they've been out. They can't bring them back down.